My name's Tom Clark. I'm co-founder of Coutume in Paris. We're a specialty coffee roastery founded in 2011. And we're presenting the Philadelphia from Huila, Colombia. This is a Rue Martel in the 10th arrondissement, where we moved in 2014. So we have our beautiful luring 35 Kestrel behind the convection roaster, and we redid the facade. So we have a lovely, nice, light, full window facade. So we probably will be moving out of this place within a year, I would say. That's the only downer, because we love how central it is. And I happen to live across the road from the roastery. I was born in Canberra, as embarrassing as that is. Well, it used to be embarrassing. It's become a better city, apparently, since I left. Don't know if that's connected. But it was sort of the Washington, D.C. of Australia. So the government, it has that kind of reputation, but it's become a bit more of a thriving town, apparently, in the last couple of years. So born in Canberra, Australia. I graduated from law school up in Brisbane, University of Queensland, in 2008, and I spent a year of my fifth year of law in Paris on exchange at the Sciences Po Foundation, which is quite a reputed university in central Paris. Had a fantastic year, had 4 hours of classes per week, and spent the most of the week enjoying Paris and discovering the best pastries and bread and cheeses and wines and you name it. I worked for a couple of restaurants in the evening as well to understand a bit more about the culture and food life and so forth. The only thing that was really missing over that year was the coffee. In 2007, it was abysmal, and I was very disappointed. Let's just put it nicely. Coming from Australia, we have a bit of a history and culture around coffee bars and baristas, and we all pass, from 16 years of age, we start working in a cafe as a waiter. If you're lucky, you get to go behind the espresso machine and get trained by the barista. And I'd done that progression. I was a fairly basic barista, hadn't really gotten into extraction science, and that was, late 90s, so a very different world coffee-wise. And I came to Paris and I saw that there was a real culture around everything, except coffee had been sort of forgotten about. And I thought that didn't make any sense, because as I grew to learn more about the French, I thought they love the land, they love terroir, they love seasonality, taste, flavor. They love to share around the table experiences. And, the Sunday lunch, for example, it goes for 3 hours and everyone will talk about where the terrine came from, where the cheeses come from, where the wines come from. And I thought everything is perfectly aligned for a specialty coffee culture to take hold in this country. And it was just one of those idiosyncrasies, that industrial monopolies and their colonial past with more or less free Robusta coffee coming in from their colonies. I think that had a lot to do with it. And also the distribution had been radically changed in the 70s and 80s. They had gone from small artisan bakers and even roasters to big behemoth monopolies that bought up all the little guys and created these huge distribution chains. So coming in, I thought there was a real opportunity to bring one of my passions, which was coffee. And I thought, I have lots to learn, and it feels like I can go on that journey in France. And that was the beginning of it. So I graduated in 2008, came back 3 days after. There was obviously another reason to come back. I met a girl, and Elena, and she became my wife a couple of years after that.
Another part of Coutume's early history coincidentally involves one of our other coffees, which is by Slow Mo. So
yes.
we've talked to them a little bit, Francois, about their early days. Great. And of course, I first discovered Coutume coffee in Barcelona when I was trying the Impanga and coffees like that.
From Burundi, correct.
And I was loving them. So I sort of fell in love with Coutume coffee, I think, first even in Spain, not in France.
Okay.
And wanted to hear your views on what it was like maybe working with Francois and how they then branched off and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah, so Francois and Carmen actually very handily. Carmen, you can't quite see it, but just across the street, a couple of blocks up, there's a small cafe called Le Look Cafe. Carmen was a barista, or running this little cafe up the road, and we became very friendly as we moved in. We used to go and have lunch there and so forth. And she came by the roastery, quite often, and we got talking. And she spoke about a project that she had. She had a commercial space in Barcelona that her father had left her, and she wanted to use it, maybe make a cafe. And the more that we got talking, the more that she really got interested in roasting and specialty coffee. And she was one day she came to us and said, look, I want to roast and learn about all this, and would you be interested in helping me? So we teamed up. We had like a very basic sort of consultant contract, but we just had a really good feeling about it. Met Francois, her boyfriend at the time, and we spent about 2 years across the whole process, from giving, first of all the roasting classes. We had Carmen assist probably 3-4 months with our roastery, and now they're really very good roasters and very competent. So we're really proud of them. It's been a great journey, and hopefully we've helped stimulate partly the Barcelona coffee scene. So
definitely, it's good to see, that these origins of the Barcelona scene, some of it came from Coutume, and it's really interesting to see the whole movement of the specialty coffee scene. And
absolutely,
I think that also the Australians, like you, were a big part of the early days, because like you said, your barista culture, your cafe culture that you had in Australia was being brought over to Europe. And the specialty coffee scene, a big part of that initial explosion was people like yourself.
It was, a lot of Australians traveling with, work holiday programs. Traditionally, we would come to London or the UK and spend a year there, earn some money, and then do the overland, Europe trip. And I think that's partly how Flat White and, Milk Bar, I think they opened down the road. They were Australians or Kiwis, one of the two, maybe a combination of both. It was a fairly big, catalyst, I would say, the Australian Kiwi backpacker kind of route throughout Europe.
So we'll go on to the coffee now. Just tell us, have you visited the farm? Have you been to Huila? Is this something you've directly?
I haven't personally. No, we travel a lot. We go every year to about 6 origins. Current year is obviously a little bit different. We're working a lot with samples and conferences and Zoom and Skype, speaking with our producers. But traditionally, we would go roughly 6 times a year to Origin. We try and maintain strong relationships with key producer partners, but also go and discover new partners every year and new regions. It's really part of our mission to also help stimulate, quality, and share as much as we can with new coffee producers like Laos, Peru, where we're looking at getting more involved in Peru, for example, at the moment. We've been working with a local partner called Inconexus, who does a lot of the on-ground support using agronomists and water specialists, agricultural engineers, and have really been our sort of go-to support to help with our partners in Colombia. So it's really through Inconexus that we discovered Philadelphia, which was in 2017. So this is the 3rd year that we've been working with Philadelphia and some other local farms. It was a discovery of, we had the first year, I remember it was sort of pawpaw and cinnamon with a bit of a crisp apple acidity at the back. The mouth, and every year it evolves. And this year, we're getting also a really nice acidity, more in the sort of how would you say, raspberry. Again, you have some green apple, some caramel, toffee caramel, and a bit of milk chocolate, which is a nice creamy base with all that texture and relief coming through the acidity. But we love it. It's a very clean, very layered washed coffee. It has that really that sort of silky texture with that crisp acidity at the back, which transforms into a sweetness and gets you to salivate as you start drawing it over. So it's been 3 years that we've worked with this farm, and we do hope to visit them hopefully next year, or at least when we're able to. But this was discovered through a online auction which we participated in. We didn't actually win the auction, but then we went off and were given other contacts through this auction house, and this is how we got in touch with Oscar and his family. And voila! So we hope to continue this relationship going forward. As I say, it's been 3 years that we've been buying Philadelphia.
Wonderful. And do you have a preferred like brew method and recipe? You're drinking it now, maybe. How did you brew it?
I am actually, yep. I thought it was appropriate and it's delicious. I prepared this on a Chemex just earlier. So a pretty common method, nothing revolutionary about the Chemex, but I really enjoyed on the Chemex. It's obviously a bit of a longer infusion. I was about 4 minutes 30 from my beginning of the pour. Very basic. I was 65. Sorry?
Sorry, recipe, yeah.
Yeah, my recipe was 65 grams for a litre. So I did a half litre, 32 grams for half a litre. I ground fairly coarsely to compensate. You have a very dense filter paper with Chemex, which is one of the benefits of getting that really clean, very crisp texture, but also getting the body through the length of extraction. So I grounded roughly a bit like a coarse raw sugar, pre-infused, double the weight with water. So I pre-infused 64 grams of water, 30 seconds, and then I divided the rest of my pour in 6 even pours to finish at 430. Wow. So pretty common pour over technique. And yeah, I really like the Chemex on this.
I don't know why, but even though I've got mine here, I want to try your one now because of the Chemex. Okay. It sounds amazing.
Well, if I could transport it, it's also cooled down. I like the Chemex because you can really prepare it and drink it over, even an hour or a bit longer. This has been prepared about 40 minutes ago, and now it's probably 30 degrees, and I'm really getting a lot of that texture and that caramelly body coming out. I was getting more of a crisp acidity at the beginning, and now I'm getting much more of that sweet caramel and body coming out of it. So yeah. In the Huila state, they're very reputed for their coffee quality with their volcanic soil. They've also got a very advanced ecological focus. So there's a lot of virgin forest, which is maintained. They spend a lot of energy. I know Inconexus is helping farmers preserve native forests to really enhance their soil quality. There is quite a risk of erosion given the clay composition. So they spend a lot of time really reinforcing the biosphere. And this is a high altitude, like the pink bourbon. You're looking about 1,800 meters above sea level. So you do get that really long maturation, which enhances partly the sweetness. And also the processing of this, like the pink bourbon, is really second to none. According to our discussions with Oscar, he's very precise. He ferments for 20 hours in his tanks, and it's sun dried for about 15 days, depending on the weather at that current time, with canopy cover to enhance the drying and to also protect from exterior elements. So he's really spent a lot of time enhancing his processing over the years. We're paying definitely a premium for this quality, but it goes back into his infrastructure and helps him continue progressing every year.
Brilliant. So quick questions now. One is, what is your overarching philosophy in specialty coffee? Just what, if you pick one thing that's really important to you or inspires you, what would that be?
I would say it's to really provide full value to the complexity of terroir and to the natural beauty of coffee. We don't want to transform it with a really present roast profile. We want to bring out the natural beauty through a very transparent and elegant roast and extraction.
Brilliant.
Reveal its inner beauty.